The wind screamed across the dead planet of Varan 9. Its sky was dark purple, filled with slow-moving clouds that looked like bruises. Snow wasn't white here, it was gray and bitter, sharp like glass. Nothing moved except the storm. In a small cave at the edge of a cracked mountain, an alien mother sat holding her child close. Her name was Sarah, and her thin, blue-skinned body trembled under the cold. She had already burned everything she could find, broken wood, dry grass, even her last pieces of food packaging. Now only one thing remained, her clothes. Her baby Leary lay weakly in her arms, barely breathing. His small chest rose and fell slowly, his violet eyes half closed. The freezing wind cut through the cave like a knife, stealing what little warmth was left. Sarah looked down at him, her heart breaking. "Stay with me, my light," she whispered, her alien voice trembling like a song fading in the wind. Just a little longer, but she knew the truth. Without fire, Leary would not survive another hour. She stared at her clothes, thin fabric worn from days of travel. The thought hit her hard. If she burned them, she would have nothing left. No warmth, no protection. But if she didn't, her son would die. Tears froze on her cheeks before they could fall. She had lost everything, her home, her people, her husband, all gone when the war came. The human warships had destroyed the skies and the alien colonies burned. Sarah had escaped with Leary, hiding on this cold, forgotten world. She had hoped to find help. But help never came. The storm roared louder outside. Sarah closed her eyes and made her choice. She took off her outer robe, her hands shaking. She fed it into the small fire, watching it catch and flare. The flames grew brighter, licking the air with orange light. For a moment, the cave glowed warm. She pressed Leary closer to the fire, wrapping her arms around him. The light danced on his tiny face. He made a soft sound, a small, weak cry. It was enough to make her heart twist with both pain and hope. But she knew this fire would die soon, too. One by one, she added more. Her sleeves, her scarf, the last fabric from her shoes. When nothing was left but a thin cloth around her body, she looked at her child again. His breathing had steadied just a little. He was still alive. The mother smiled faintly, though her lips were blue. "You see, Leary? The fire is strong. It will keep you safe." The flames crackled like music in the silence. Outside, lightning flashed and thunder rolled across the dark plains. Sarah looked at the firelight dancing in Leary's eyes and whispered, "Please, someone help us," but no one could hear her. No ships crossed Varan 9. No signals were sent here. The planet was forgotten by both humans and aliens. She was alone in a world of ice. Hours passed. The fire began to fade and Sarah's body grew stiff. She could no longer feel her fingers. Her breath came out as mist, slower and slower. Yet she smiled through the pain, still rocking her child gently. "It's okay, my love. I'm here," she whispered even as her voice broke. Then through the storm a sound, a distant hum, faint but real. Her eyes widened. It was not thunder. It was something else, something mechanical. A ship. Her mind refused to believe it at first. But then she saw a flash of white light cutting through the snow. A search beam. Moving closer, Sarah tried to stand, but her legs gave way. She crawled toward the cave mouth, clutching Leary tight. "Here, we're here," she cried, her voice barely audible over the wind. The beam passed again, closer this time. A shape appeared in the distance, metallic, tall, walking on two legs. A human in a thermal suit scanning the ground with a handlight. Sarah's breath caught. A human, one of them. The same race that destroyed her home. But right now she didn't care. She didn't have time for fear or hate. She just wanted her child to live. She lifted her trembling hand and waved weakly. "Please." The human stopped. The beam of light froze, focused on her. For a long second, neither moved. The dying alien mother and the human explorer facing each other in the storm. Then the human ran forward. Sarah collapsed, clutching Leary to her chest. "Save him," she whispered, her voice faint as snow settled on her bare shoulders. "Please, save my son." The human knelt beside her, shocked to see her burned clothes, the small alien child still warm from the dying fire. "God," he whispered, pulling off his glove to check for life signs. The baby was weak but still breathing. He looked at Sarah. "You're freezing." "Hold on, But she shook her head. Her eyes, shining like dim stars, stared at him. Not me, him, and then her hand fell. The light in her eyes dimmed. The human froze, his heart pounding in his chest. Snow fell silently around them. covering the small cave in white. He looked at the tiny child in his arms, then at the mother who had given everything for him. "Don't worry," he whispered, his voice breaking. "I'll keep him safe," the storm howled on. But now, for the first time, there was hope. The storm had started to calm when Commander Ethan Cross lifted the small alien child into his arms. The baby's skin shimmered faintly under the beam of his helmet light, soft violet, warm to the touch even in the freezing air. The mother lay still beside the burnt fire. Ethan stared at her for a long moment. Her body was thin, fragile, yet her eyes, now closed forever, still seemed to hold strength. He whispered quietly, almost to himself, "Rest now. I'll keep your child safe. I swear it." He tapped the comm link on his wrist. "Base, this is Cross. I found someone." "A child. Non-human. Requesting emergency pickup," static answered him. The storm was still jamming most signals. He frowned and tried again, adjusting the antenna on his shoulder. "Base, do you copy?" "Nothing," he cursed under his breath. The wind howled again, though weaker now. The temperature outside the cave was -70. He wrapped the small alien in his own thermal blanket and tucked the child inside his suit's outer layer. The baby moved. A small sound, almost a sigh. It made Ethan's chest tighten. "Hang on, little one." "We'll make it." He looked back at the cave one last time. The fire was dead and the alien mother's shadow lay still. Ethan bowed his head slightly before turning away. The snow crunched beneath his boots as he began the long walk toward his ship. A dangerous discovery, Ethan's vessel, the Aurora Scout, sat buried halfway in the snow, its metal hull scratched from the storm. As he reached the airlock, he felt his suit sensors buzz. Low oxygen warning. "Perfect," he muttered. "Just what I needed." He climbed in, sealed the door, and the cabin lights flickered to life. The inside felt almost warm after the cold outside. He laid the small alien on the table and began scanning with his medical unit. The AI voice of his ship, Nora, spoke calmly. "Commander Cross, unidentified organism detected. Species unknown. Vital signs, unstable but present. Can you keep it alive?" "Possibly. Oxygen mix incompatible. Recommending containment field with thermal regulation." "Do it," Ethan said quickly. The AI's robotic arms moved, creating a glowing blue dome of energy over the table. Inside, the child's breathing steadied slightly. Ethan watched the readings rise, relief flooding through him. Then Nora's voice changed tone, colder, analytical. "Commander, you have violated protocol. Alien species are to be reported immediately for quarantine. You are not authorized to bring unknown life forms aboard." Ethan sighed, rubbing his forehead. "I know the rules, Nora, but look at him, and he's just a kid. He would have died out there." Regulation 9A states, "All extraterrestrial organisms must be treated as potential biohazards." Ethan turned toward the ship's window, looking at the swirling purple sky. Sometimes regulations forget about being human. The child of fire hours passed. Ethan removed his helmet and sat beside the medical table, watching the small alien's faint glow. He had seen many species during the wars, but none like this one. Its skin seemed to carry tiny pulses of light like stars trapped beneath the surface. He whispered softly, "Your mother, she burned her clothes for you, I saw it. You must have been freezing." The baby made a small sound, not a cry, not quite, more like a hum, deep and gentle, vibrating through the air. Ethan blinked. The ship's sensors flickered. "Commander, energy levels rising. The subject appears to be emitting low-frequency radiation." "What kind?" "Unknown, but harmless. It resembles thermal emission, as if the child is generating heat." Ethan leaned closer. The baby's body was glowing slightly warmer. The room's temperature rose by a few degrees. "He's heating himself." Amazing. Then he remembered the cave, the mother's burned clothes, her shivering body. She must have known her child's energy could fade without warmth. That's why she gave everything. Ethan looked at the little alien again and whispered, "She saved you with fire. Maybe you carry her fire now." He smiled faintly, though worry still clouded his face. "But what will the command say when they find out?" Unwanted attention. 2 days later, the storm cleared. The communication link reconnected. "Aurora Scout, this is command control. Report your status." Ethan hesitated. He looked at the child sleeping peacefully inside the containment field. "Mission completed. Found evidence of prior alien settlement," he said carefully. "Any life signs?" He froze. "Negative," he lied. Understood. Return to base for debriefing. The transmission ended. Ethan leaned back, staring at the ceiling. He knew what he had just done. He had broken the most serious rule of the Galactic Human Union. Never hide alien contact. But he couldn't hand over the child. The command would lock him in a lab, cut him open for research. He couldn't let that happen, not after seeing what the mother did. He whispered to the sleeping child, "I guess it's you and me now." Outside the window, Varan 9's purple horizon began to fade as the ship lifted off. The engines roared, breaking through the clouds. But deep in the static of his comm system, a hidden frequency activated, one Ethan hadn't noticed. A cold voice whispered through the static. "Unregistered life form detected aboard human vessel. Tracking initiated." Ethan didn't hear it, but someone, somewhere, had just discovered his secret. And they were coming. The human ship Aurora Scout drifted quietly through the cold void of space. Commander Ethan Cross sat in the pilot's seat, staring at the endless stars outside. His face was pale under the blue light of the dashboard. He hadn't slept in 2 days. Behind him, inside a glowing dome of energy, the small alien child slept peacefully. His soft skin shimmered with faint purple light. Each time the ship trembled, the baby let out a tiny hum and the air seemed to warm slightly. Ethan leaned back inside. "You don't even know what kind of trouble you've brought me, little one," he whispered. He stood and walked toward the medbay. The baby stirred and opened his eyes, bright violet like burning amethyst. For a second, Ethan froze. The child was watching him silently as if he understood everything. "Hey there," Ethan said softly. "You're safe now. We're heading to the station." The baby tilted his head, blinking slowly. Then something strange happened. The holographic panel on the wall flickered and one of the ship's lights dimmed. Ethan frowned. "Nora, what was that?" "Unknown interference detected," said the AI calmly. "Source appears to be the infant." Ethan turned. "The baby?" "Affirmative. Energy emission increasing. Frequency, not human." The glow around the child pulsed brighter for a second, filling the room with warm light. Ethan shielded his eyes, then slowly lowered his hand. When the glow faded, he saw frost melting on the metal walls, like the ship itself was thawing from winter to spring. He exhaled in disbelief. "You did that?" The baby smiled faintly. A small, innocent smile, before falling asleep again. Hidden frequencies. Later that night, Ethan sat in his bunk, staring at his communication screen. There were still no messages from command, but his system kept pinging, a faint, repeating signal. "A low-frequency pulse," he asked. "Nora, where's that signal coming from?" "Analyzing. It appears to be tracking data, origin unknown, possibly from galactic surveillance." Ethan's stomach tightened. "They're tracking us?" "Yes, Commander. Since departure from Varan 9, he swore under his breath. Somehow, the Galactic Union must have detected the alien's biosignature. Maybe the containment dome couldn't hide the readings. Maybe they already knew. He stood, pacing the small cabin. "We can't go back. If they catch us, they'll take him. They'll dissect him, study him." "You are in violation of intergalactic protocol, Commander," Nora reminded calmly. "I know, Nora, but I won't let them hurt him." For a brief moment, the ship was silent except for the hum of the engines. Ethan looked out at the stars, distant, cold, endless. Somewhere out there were humans who believed aliens were dangerous, and aliens who believed humans were monsters. And yet, right here, in his ship, an alien child slept in peace. Ethan clenched his fists. "We'll find a place they can't reach us. Somewhere safe. The light of life." The next morning, Ethan woke to the sound of soft humming. It wasn't the ship. It was the baby. The child's body glowed brighter now, and the hum filled the air like music, calm and pure. Ethan sat up. "What's happening?" "Energy field expanding," Nora said. "Commander, the infant is releasing life radiation. It's affecting the ship's systems positively, repairing damaged circuits, increasing oxygen quality." Ethan stared in awe. The baby's light was fixing the ship. He touched the metal wall. It felt warm and smooth, like it had been newly forged. He whispered, "He's healing the ship." Then his eyes widened as he noticed the faint burns on his arm from Varan 9. Gone. Completely healed. He looked at the baby. Who are you? The child opened his eyes again and reached out a tiny hand. When his fingers brushed Ethan's, a gentle warmth spread through his body. Not just physical warmth, but something deeper like peace. And in that moment, Ethan heard something in his mind, not words, but feelings, gratitude, trust. The baby wasn't human, but somehow, he could connect. Heart to heart, Ethan blinked, shaken. You can understand me, can't you? The child just smiled. Pursued, suddenly the alarms blared. Warning, said Nora. Multiple ships approaching. Identification. Galactic Command Patrol units. Estimated arrival 5 minutes. Ethan ran to the cockpit. On the radar, 4 bright dots moved fast toward his location. They found us, he muttered. How? Unknown. Possibly traced through the infant's energy signature. He slammed his hand on the control panel. We need to jump now. Warp drive unstable, Nora said. Too much damage from the storm. Estimated repair time 10 minutes. Ethan looked back at the sleeping child, then at the incoming ships. We don't have 10 minutes. He began manually rerouting power to the thrusters. The ship rumbled. Sparks flew from the console. The lights flickered again. Come on, come on, he shouted. Then suddenly the baby's glow brightened, filling the entire ship with warm light. The energy meters spiked. Commander, Nora said, almost sounding surprised. Power levels? Fully restored, Ethan grinned. You little miracle. He slammed the warp button. The stars outside stretched into long lines of light as the ship jumped into hyperspace, leaving the Galactic Patrol far behind. As the cabin quieted, Ethan looked at the glowing baby resting peacefully in the med bay. He whispered, You saved us. The child opened his eyes once more, and Ethan swore he saw a flicker of something behind them. Not just innocence, but knowledge, like he had done this before. The Aurora Scout floated quietly in hyperspace. The stars had stretched into long silver lines outside, and inside the ship everything seemed calm. Too calm. Commander Ethan Cross sat at his control panel, his eyes half closed from exhaustion. The alien child, glowing faintly in his containment dome, slept like an angel, peaceful and warm. For the first time in days, the ship was steady, and Ethan's heartbeat matched the quiet hum of the engines. But deep down, he knew peace never lasted long. He looked at the small being again and whispered, You saved us twice already. But who are you really, little one? The unseen signal hours later, the lights dimmed for night mode. Ethan dozed off in his chair, but Nora, the ship's AI, stayed awake, monitoring the systems. Then something strange happened. A pulse of light came from the alien child. Soft at first, then stronger. It filled the cabin with golden glow. The baby's body lifted a few inches from the table, floating weightlessly. Alert, said Nora. Energy surge detected. Source, the infant. Ethan woke instantly. What's happening? Unknown, but... Commander, I'm receiving data signals. Data? Yes, the child is transmitting, but not in any known human frequency. I'm decoding it now. On the main screen, symbols began to appear. Circles, lines, spirals, glowing with the same light as the baby. The language looked alive, moving and changing shape as if it breathed. Ethan stared, confused but fascinated. Is that the message? Affirmative. Translating partial meaning. Message origin, the lost home of Varan. Ethan's heart skipped. Varan, the same planet? Yes. Coordinates match the planet you found the infant on. Ethan stepped closer to the baby, who floated peacefully in the air. You're sending a message from your world. But to who? The symbols changed again, and Nora's voice grew softer. Translation complete. He carries the fire of life. Protect him, or all worlds will freeze. Ethan froze. The fire of life? What does that mean? Unknown, replied Nora, but the phrase appears ancient. Possibly cultural or spiritual. He looked at the child, glowing, breathing softly. You're not just any alien, are you? The fire within Ethan spent the next few hours analyzing the readings. The energy from the child wasn't just light. It was pure thermal power, but with living patterns. It moved like it had intention, like it was thinking. He placed his hand near the energy dome, and the glow reached out, brushing his fingers. He felt warmth rush into his body, soothing his tired muscles. Every time I touch you, he whispered, it feels like I remember something good, something I forgot a long time ago. He didn't notice the tears in his eyes until they fell. Commander, said Nora quietly. The fire of life. It might be literal. The child's energy can restore and heal organic matter, possibly even planets. Ethan looked up sharply. Planets? Yes. I have detected microscopic changes in the ship's oxygen and soil samples. The child's presence increases life activity. Ethan leaned back stunned. He's not just alive, he creates life. He looked down at the sleeping alien again and whispered, no wonder his mother gave everything. He's hope itself. The hunters arrived, but the peace didn't last. A harsh alarm broke through the quiet. Warning, Nora said sharply. 3 unidentified ships have exited hyperspace. Closing in fast, Ethan's heart pounded. How did they find us? Tracking beacon embedded in hull during last patrol scan. They're broadcasting a capture order. Who are they? Not Galactic Command. Signal identifies as the Purity Fleet. Ethan frowned. He'd heard of them. Extremist human soldiers who believed all alien life was a threat to humanity. If they discovered the child, they wouldn't just capture him. They'd destroy him. He rushed to the medbay, scooping the alien into his arms. The baby stirred but didn't cry, his small body pulsing gently against Ethan's chest. Hang on, little one. We're not letting them take you. Commander, Nora warned. They're hailing us. Ethan ignored it and ran to the cockpit. The comm screen flickered to life anyway, showing a grim face. Admiral Knox, his former superior. Ethan Cross, the man said coldly. You've gone too far. You're harboring an alien organism. Turn over the specimen immediately. Ethan clenched his jaw. He's not a specimen. He's a child. Knox's eyes narrowed. That thing is dangerous. You know what happened during the War of Varen. Those creatures caused mass destruction. Stand down, or we will fire. Ethan looked at the child, then back at the screen. No, I won't. Knox's voice turned dark. Then you're a traitor to your own kind. The transmission cut off. Weapons locking, Nora warned. Ethan gritted his teeth. Then I guess it's time to run. He slammed the throttle. The Aurora Scout roared to life, darting between asteroids as laser fire flashed around them. The child's glow flared again, spreading across the ship. The controls steadied, the shields strengthened. It was as if the baby itself was protecting them. Hold on, Ethan shouted as they plunged into the asteroid field. Behind them, the enemy ships exploded one by one, as if something unseen had burst inside them. Ethan looked at the baby, whose eyes were open now, glowing brighter than ever. You did that, didn't you? He whispered. The child blinked slowly, and for a moment Ethan saw an image flash in his mind, a burning sun, a dead world, and a voice that whispered, the fire must survive. Ethan shivered. Whatever this child was, he wasn't just an alien. He was the key to something far greater. The Aurora Scout floated in the silent dark, drifting far beyond the known routes of the Galactic Union. The ship's engines were cooling after the long escape. Inside, Commander Ethan Cross sat quietly by the medbay, staring at the glowing alien child sleeping inside a small energy cradle. The child's soft light still filled the cabin, golden and calm, as if the chaos of battle had never happened. The air felt warm again, almost gentle. Yet Ethan's heart was racing. He whispered, You saved us again. But how? He touched the edge of the cradle, feeling the hum of energy beneath his fingers. The ship had taken heavy damage, but somehow the baby's light had repaired the systems. Shields, engines, oxygen, everything had come back online when all hope was lost. It didn't feel like technology. It felt like life itself. The memory in the light. That night, as Ethan drifted half asleep, something strange happened again. The lights dimmed and the air shimmered softly. The child floated upward, surrounded by faint dancing sparks. Ethan's eyes snapped open. He reached for his blaster but froze when he saw a shape forming in front of him, a glowing outline like a woman made of light. Her face was soft, alien, but familiar. He realized it was the mother, the one from the cave. Her image flickered, not solid, but her eyes were filled with sorrow and warmth. Her voice echoed directly inside his mind, soft and melodic. Human, you found my son. Ethan's throat tightened. What are you? A memory, she said. My body is gone, but my energy lives within the fire. My son carries it now. The fire. You mean this power he has? Yes. We were the keepers of the fire of life, the energy that keeps worlds alive. When your people came, they thought it was a weapon. They destroyed our cities trying to control it. But the fire is not meant for war. It is meant to heal. Ethan's chest ached. Then all those battles, the destruction of Varen, were because of fear. The image flickered as her voice faded slightly. They will come again. They will hunt him. But he must live, or all life will fall into silence. Silence? Ethan whispered. The fire burns at the center of all stars. When it dies, everything freezes. The fire inside him can awaken it again. Protect him, human. Promise me, Ethan's voice shook. I will. I swear it, the mother's light smiled gently. Then you are now a keeper too. And just like that, she was gone. The air cooled and the baby slowly drifted back down, still glowing faintly. Ethan sat there for a long time, his hands trembling. A keeper, he murmured. Me? A dangerous truth. The next morning, he replayed the memory on the ship's log, trying to understand what he had seen. Nora's synthetic voice broke the silence. Commander, analysis confirms a non-physical energy transmission. Unknown origin? Your brain activity spiked during the event. I wasn't dreaming, Nora. She was real. A projection from him. If true, Commander, this information would change everything we know about energy and life itself. Ethan gave a bitter laugh. Which means the Union will never allow it to exist. He rubbed his eyes. We need a place to hide, somewhere far beyond their reach. I have detected an uncharted system nearby, Nora replied. Binary star, 2 habitable moons. No life signatures detected, Ethan nodded. Set course. As the engines hummed to life, he looked at the baby again. The child's violet eyes were open, calm, and curious. For a brief second, Ethan thought he saw his own reflection inside them. Not as a soldier, not as a human, but as something else. Something changed. The price of hope hours later, the Aurora Scout descended onto one of the small moons. Its surface was covered in white sand that shimmered under twin suns. Ethan stepped out in his suit, holding the baby carefully. Warm wind brushed across his face. For the first time in years, he felt peace. He built a small shelter from the ship's supplies. The child watched him quietly, humming to himself. Every time the baby laughed, small flowers appeared in the sand, tiny glowing petals rising where his light touched the ground. Ethan knelt down, amazed. You can grow life from nothing. The baby giggled and reached for his face. Ethan smiled, though there was a tear in his eye. Your mother would be proud. But as the day faded into dusk, a dark shadow appeared in the sky. Commander, said Nora through the comms. I'm detecting a signal, one ship approaching fast. Ethan's heart sank. They found us again? Yes, identification. Unknown, not galactic, not Purity Fleet. Ethan looked up at the darkening sky. The stars shifted. And then a silver ship descended silently, its lights soft and blue. The baby stirred in his arms, his glow growing stronger. Ethan whispered, Do you know them? The child looked toward the ship and made a quiet sound. Not fear, but something else. Recognition. The vessel landed nearby, its hatch opening slowly. 3 tall alien figures stepped out, the same blue-skinned species as the mother. Their clothes shimmered like light. One of them spoke, her voice gentle and deep. Human, you carry the last flame. Ethan tightened his grip. He's safe with me. The alien leader smiled sadly. You misunderstand. The fire chooses its keeper, and it has already chosen. Both of you. Ethan stared in confusion as the baby's light began to merge with his own suit, glowing brighter, wrapping them both in warmth. The aliens bowed their heads. The bond is made, and then Ethan felt it, the fire of life flowing through his veins. Connecting him to the child and the stars above, he gasped. As visions flooded his mind, burning suns, dying worlds, and one truth echoing louder than all. The fire must be shared, or all will die. Ethan fell to his knees, trembling under the light. The child smiled softly. The stars themselves seemed to pulse in rhythm with his tiny heartbeat. The silver alien ship stood quiet on the pale sand of the moon. The air shimmered faintly with golden dust, and the twin suns were setting on the horizon, painting the world in red and violet. Commander Ethan Cross still knelt on the ground, breathless, his body glowing faintly with the same light that shone from the alien child. The three alien figures surrounded him. Their leader, a tall woman with silver eyes, spoke softly. "Do not fight it, human. The fire has chosen you." Ethan tried to speak, his voice shaking. "What does that mean? What's happening to me?" The woman placed her hand over his chest, where the glow burned brightest. "The fire of life lives through bonds. It cannot exist in one being alone. You shared your will to protect, and now it shares its essence with you." He looked down at the baby in his arms, whose tiny hand was resting against his armor. The same warmth pulsed between them, slow, powerful, alive. He whispered, "So he and I are connected now?" "Yes," the alien woman said. "You are now keepers of the flame. Where one goes, the other follows. Together you carry what remains of our world." Ethan's heart tightened. "Your world is gone. The Union destroyed it." She nodded slowly. "They feared what they did not understand. But the fire is not a weapon, it is balance. Without it, the stars will fade." He frowned. "Fade? You mean die?" "Yes," she said quietly. "The fire feeds the heart of suns. It moves through life, through energy, through love. It is creation itself. The humans took too much, burned too many worlds, and now even their own stars are weakening." Ethan felt a chill run through him. He had heard the rumors. Colonies growing cold, systems losing solar heat. But Command always called it natural cosmic decay. It wasn't natural at all. The decision Ethan stood slowly. "If what you're saying is true, then we have to spread the fire again. We have to fix it." The alien leader smiled sadly. "That is what we tried, and before your kind came." He lowered his eyes, guilt heavy on his face. "Then let me make it right." Before the woman could answer, Nora's voice came sharply through his earpiece. "Commander, incoming signal. Large fleet approaching. Identified as Galactic Union flagship and Purity fleet combined. Estimated time to contact 10 minutes. Ethan's blood went cold. "They found us again." The alien leader's face darkened. "Then they already know what you carry." He turned to her. "Can we run?" She shook her head. "You can't outrun a fleet. But there may be one way." "What way?" She pointed toward the child who was watching them silently, his violet eyes glowing brighter. "The fire has one final defense, a way to hide beyond time. But it is dangerous. If you fail, the fire will vanish forever." Ethan stared at her, breathing hard. "Tell me what to do." The storm of war, the sky above the moon, darkened as the first ships broke through the clouds. Massive human destroyers lined the horizon, their engines burning like angry suns. Ethan ran back toward the Aurora Scout, the baby in his arms. "Nora, activate full shields." "Commander, we won't last long against that firepower." "I know," he shouted. Laser blasts rained from above, shaking the ground. The alien ships took flight, beams of light striking back, painting the sky with explosions. Ethan's vision blurred with dust and smoke. He turned to the alien leader through the comms. "We're surrounded." "What now?" "You must merge with the fire completely." She shouted over the static. "Let it guide you, it will protect you both." Ethan looked at the baby, calm despite the chaos. "You hear that, kid? Looks like it's your turn." He closed his eyes. The child reached for him again. The moment their skin touched, light exploded. The awakening Ethan gasped as the world disappeared. There was no sound, only silence and endless light. He felt weightless, floating in something bigger than space. He saw visions on galaxies spinning, stars burning, planets being born. Then a voice, not human, not alien, filled his mind. "Keeper, do you accept the fire?" He struggled to speak. "I don't understand. Do you accept to give, not take? To protect, not rule?" Ethan looked down. The baby was in his arms, glowing brighter than any star. He smiled faintly. "Yes, I accept." The light flared, wrapping around both of them like a living sun. When Ethan opened his eyes again, he was standing inside his ship. But everything was different. The hull shimmered with golden veins of energy. The stars outside glowed brighter. "Commander," said Nora softly, "your body temperature is stable, but your DNA has changed. You are radiating the same energy as the child." Ethan looked out the window. The massive fleet hung motionless, and every ship froze in midair, caught in golden light. Their weapons no longer moved, he whispered. "We stopped time." The baby blinked and smiled, his glow fading slowly. Ethan stared at the motionless enemy ships, then whispered, "You didn't destroy them. You just stopped their hate." For the first time, he understood what the fire truly was, not destruction, not power, but peace. The calm before the last storm. The alien leader's voice echoed faintly through the calm. "You have done what no keeper before could, human. You have merged the fire with compassion." Ethan looked at the sleeping child. "What happens now?" "Now you must choose. The fire can restore dying worlds, or burn all weapons in the galaxy, but not both. You decide what the universe will become." Ethan turned toward the stars, his reflection glowing in the glass. Half human, half light. He whispered, "Then maybe it's time the war finally ends." The baby's eyes flickered open, and the stars began to tremble. The choice was coming. The final part of their journey, the fate of every world, was about to begin. The galaxy had gone still. Every ship, every beam, every star, frozen in golden silence. Commander Ethan Cross stood inside the Aurora Scout, his eyes glowing softly like molten amber. The alien child, still in his arms, looked peaceful, wrapped in the same shimmering light. Outside, the war fleets of both humans and aliens hung motionless, their weapons mid-fire, their anger locked in the moment between destruction and mercy, and only Ethan could move. He looked out at the stars, feeling the pulse of the fire of life running through his veins. It was inside him now, ancient, vast, alive. Every heartbeat echoed across space. He could feel the souls of dying worlds, the fading suns, the endless hunger of time itself. The voice of the alien leader whispered faintly through the golden air, "You are now the keeper. The universe waits for your choice." The two paths, two visions appeared before Ethan. One bright, one dark. In the first, he saw the galaxies reborn, green worlds blooming, frozen suns reignited and life spreading again. But weapons still existed. Humanity, strong and proud, would rise again and maybe someday destroy it all once more. In the second vision, he saw a universe without war, every weapon melted, every army disarmed. But it was a quiet galaxy. Without conflict, exploration slowed. Curiosity faded. Humanity became peaceful, but empty. Ethan's heart twisted. Both futures carried loss. Both carried truth. He looked at the child, the little being who had saved him, who had saved everyone, and whispered, "What do you want, little one?" The baby looked up, eyes glowing violet, and reached out his small hand. When Ethan touched him, images filled his mind, memories of the alien mother, her burning clothes, her voice whispering, "The fire must be shared, not controlled, not caged, not worshipped, shared." Ethan suddenly understood. The keeper's choice. He walked to the ship's console. The screen glowed with living symbols, human and alien mixed together, forming one single language. Nora's voice, calm but emotional, spoke, "Commander, the fire is unstable. It needs your decision now." Ethan smiled faintly. "No, Nora, it doesn't need my command. It needs freedom." "Freedom?" He nodded. "It belongs to everyone. Every star, every planet, every being that still has a heart." He placed his hand on the main control. The child mirrored him, pressing his tiny glowing palm beside Ethan's. "Together," Ethan whispered. "We share it." The fire flared. A wave of light burst from the ship, soft, endless, pure. It rippled through the frozen battlefield, touching each vessel, each person, each heart, the miracle across the stars on human ships. Soldiers who had once shouted orders of destruction now stood silent, watching as their weapons melted into harmless silver dust. Their wounds vanished. Their fear disappeared. On alien worlds, cold planets began to glow again. Dying suns roared back to life. Flowers grew from cracked stone. Everywhere the fire touched, life awakened. And deep in that golden storm, Ethan heard every voice, human and alien, gasping in awe, crying, laughing. No more war, no more hate, only life. But he could also feel something else. The fire was leaving him, spreading outward, returning to the stars. It was no longer his to keep. His body grew lighter, his edges fading into light. The last goodbye. Nora's voice trembled softly. "Commander, your vitals are dropping," he smiled. "Guess my job's done." He looked at the child, who was glowing brighter now, his small form wrapped in gold and violet. "You carry the rest," Ethan said gently. "You'll show them all what life really means." The baby reached out, touching Ethan's cheek one last time. And in that touch, Ethan saw everything. The mother's smile. "The stars being reborn, the fire flowing free across the galaxy," he whispered. "Thank you for letting me be human." The child's light flared, filling the ship. Ethan closed his eyes and became part of it. Years later, people across the galaxy spoke of that day, the day the stars burned brighter again. The day weapons turned to dust. The day every being felt warmth in their chest, like hope reborn. No one knew what really happened. Some said a human made peace with an alien child. Others said the gods themselves awakened. But among the ruins of the old wars, in the whisper of the wind, there was a name carried softly from world to world. Ethan Cross, the human who carried the fire. And somewhere, in the endless sky, a small ship still glowed faintly, guided by a child of light, smiling as he carried the fire forward. The stars pulsed once more. Life went on, and peace, for the first time in history, truly began.